orbiting spacecraft have picked up strong indicators for the existence of water ice at the Martian poles. Remote measurements of soil composition have detected high levels of hydrogen. Water, of course, is 1 part oxygen and 2 parts hydrogen, so the possibility of ice hiding below the surface in those areas is overwhelming. But while strong evidence of ice at the Martian poles may be relatively new, speculation that water existed there became common more than a century ago. And its implication that intelligent life could also exist on the red planet elicited widespread anxiety on Earth for much of the first half of the 20th century. Astronomers pointed the first telescopes toward Mars in 1610. As spyglass technology steadily improved, the blurred image of the red planet drew ever closer to the eyes of earthly observers. Day
was canali. That word, translated to English, should have been translated as channels, but instead it got mistranslated as canals.
Since straight lines do not normally appear in nature, Schiaparelli's sketches gave birth to the idea that some form of intelligent life must exist on Mars. It was an arresting notion, widely debated among astronomers of the day. Later, in 1894, a wealthy Bostonian named Percival Lowell was so intrigued by this possibility that he paid to have a large telescope constructed on a mountainside in Flagstaff Air. Thousands of citizens believed the invasion was real. In 1964, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, launched a small exploration spacecraft toward the red planet. Its name was Mariner 4. It had a television camera, and its mission was to fly past Mars and send back pictures. It could only make one pass. Scientists were filled with anxious excitement at the prospect of what they might see.
Is it going to see cities? Is it going to see canals? Is it going to see forests? Well, what it saw was craters. It sent back pictures.
Back to NASA.
And Olympus Mons is not alone. A few hundred miles southeast of the mountain stands a diagonal row of 3 other evenly spaced enormous volcanoes.
Like a zipper. Well, who knows if that's true.
A cold, dry, dead place.
But while the Viking lander toiled away on the ground, failing to make headlines, high above the Martian surface, the Viking orbiter managed to capture a mystifying image. Biology resulting from the Viking experiments, interest in returning to the red planet quieted for several years. Then, in 1984, a young scientist on an expedition in Antarctica made a discovery that ultimately infused new energy.
I'd like to welcome.
Convinced. Labs across the globe requested samples of the rock to conduct their own analyses. In frigid environments that receive virtually no sunlight.
Most people thought that if you had less.
And liftoff of the Delta II rocket with the Mars exploration rover.
In the summer of 2003, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory delivered 2 exploration spacecraft to the surface of Mars. Missions to the red planet are only feasible once every 2 years during a specific short window of time. launch must be timed so that the spacecraft and Mars arrive at a specific point in the planet's orbit at the same time. The journey across the 34 million mile distance can take up to 7 months, and the trajectory must be perfect.
The accuracy required to go from Earth to Mars and to hit the spot you want to be at on Mars is equivalent to shooting a basketball from Los Angeles to New York and have it go through without hitting the rim. Nothing but net.
All systems are go for entry, descent, and landing. We are currently 6 minutes from landing at the Gusev crater in the southern hemisphere of Mars. Current velocity 1,356 miles per hour. We expect the parachute deploy in 5 seconds. Urgently detected. Expect the bridge will arrive at ignition on my mark. Mark.
The spacecraft were actually rovers, robotic vehicles capable of traveling that on Earth usually forms in a spot that held liquid water. So far, neither rover has found signs of life. But both Spirit and Opportunity have uncovered ample proof that liquid water was once plentiful on the surface of the red planet.